Faith was sad. Her drawer was broken. That didn't affect Sarah at all. But Dad would have to do something about it, and it was obvious that it was all Kenny's fault. So where did this bring us? Capitalism was still king, and I wasn't resting easy knowing Theodore Roosevelt didn't have my back or that Hunter Thompson had passed. What kind of beasts would I have to deal with? What kind of beasts would my children face? What fucking good can come from fixing this piece of shit? I don't know. Honestly, I've met a lot of mean-spirited demons in my life who are only out for themselves, and hanging my actions on Socrates' philosophy didn't change anything. Or did it? Was there some infusion of principle, morality into their self-absorbed lives? It'd be nice to think so. Who the fuck am I to judge anyway? Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe that's the answer. Even before Genghis Khan, politics was weird, and I find myself stuck on Columbus. Columbus, that dirty bastard, fucking scoundrel, raped, murdered, and stole all for his own profit, and today he's lauded as a hero. It's fucking sickening. What about celebrating all the lives of the indigenous people he sold to slavery? Why can't we do that? You're probably wondering how I learned how to do all this shit. Was it easy? Did it come naturally? Shit, no! Let me tell you about my dad. I didn't know him. But I did know desperation, and that's an ugly place to be. Psychologists would relate my anger to the fact that I had a broken home. Problem with that school of thought is, firstly, I don't give a fuck, and secondly, all psychologists are insane. Rest of the world just haven't grown the balls to admit it yet. The key is one day at a time. Take your world in. Observe. You want to learn? Then stop thinking male, female, black, white, red, girl, boy, elderly, and start listening. That's how I've learned to do anything and everything. When I was 8 years old, we had a poor Hispanic neighbor move in 3 doors down. The mother had 2 kids, and the father was out of work. She cleaned houses for a living, and we would end up watching the kids. We were not the type to babysit. My brother and I were hooligans of the worst sort. But there we were, watching 2 little kids while Mom worked and Dad did only God knows what the fuck. Amazingly, they lived. The dad had this piece of shit 55 Chevy he was always fixing, and I was always around. It was always one thing or another. The brakes were leaking, the calipers were frozen, the engine was leaking all over the place. There was always replacing gaskets here and there. Carburetor wasn't working, got to pull it out, rebuild it. Rear end needed to be rebuilt. Everything on this car needed to be rebuilt. He had the tools. I had the time. I had a neighbor across the street. His name was Al Van Kerkhove. This guy was a physicist. He worked for a major corporation in the area. And every morning at 5 o'clock, didn't matter if it was 6 feet of snow or it was 110 degrees out, that guy would get up, and jogged to work. It was a 5-mile jog, and he did the same run back home again. He had 8 kids, and the youngest was my age. So this guy was still jogging well into his 60s every morning to work. My only point in mentioning that, here is an example of 2 gentlemen that were doing things completely differently from everybody else. Decent human beings, just enjoying their lives. And I found using that as a template was a great way to live my own life. I'm not perfect, far from it. I'm probably insane, but I know I'm not the burn the heretic, religious zealot sort of insane. Probably more of the Mark Twain, Rob Halford insane. And that I can live with.
There's a rumor going round, gotta clear the town, smelling like dry phone. Here comes the law, gonna break down the door, here to do it once more. Never word anymore, gotta get the stone cold floor. Crazy, stone cold crazy, you know. Stone cold crazy, you know. Shooting people that I meet with my bullet and a Tommy gun. Here comes the WG's gotta fucking get me, gotta fucking get him run. Got the sign, run right out. The sound I can't go to heaven, let me go to hell. Crazy, stone cold crazy, you know.
What are you doing with my camera?
Daddy, the light on top of our room, like.
Hmm.